12 hours to drive.
Yeah, it took you 12 hours to drive. It's going to take him about 2 weeks to sail, probably, maybe more, depending on how well he can sail.
He's a novice.
Hurricane's coming.
Yeah,
There's actually 3 of them.
I cringe to think of having to sail a 32-footer all the way up the coast.
Is he coming up the coast, or is he coming up the intercoastal water?
Probably intercoastal waterway, I would hope, anyway.
It is August, right? Yes, it is August 1st.
How many have received the BBAA newsletter? You should have got an email from newsletter editor Leanne. And it is downloadable. I don't believe it's posted to the website yet.
Yeah, Sean's put a good one.
It will. The newsletter is full of good information, and it's got a list of the upcoming events, which I'll go over in a minute. But we don't have a secretary here. The minutes are encapsulated in the BBA Observer, the newsletter.
Well, we're taking notes live here, so we'll have the minutes live.
No problem. Okay. All right, do we have a treasurer's report?
We have money.
The treasurer says we have money.
The treasurer's been lazy. He's been off on vacation and went screwing around and hasn't done anything other than the fact that I have a bunch of receipts from the picnic and haven't found.
We have money.
Very lazy.
Our astronomical league coordinator is not here. That's Bruce Powers. But those of you who, most of you know, the Astronomical League is an organization made up of all of the astronomy clubs not only in the U.S. but other countries. But they've got observing programs that are very, very helpful to motivate us to get involved in astronomy. I've earned several of the pins. I've gotten lazy, I haven't earned any lately, because in the monthly or the quarterly newsletter from the Astronomical League, the Reflector, almost every quarter I would see a list of people from the BBAA earning pins. Well, the last 2 or 3 issues, I have not seen any names from the BBAA. So we should get busy. Go to the Astronomical League website, astroleague.org, and there's dozens of observing programs. Some are easy, some are hard, some will take a while, some could be done fairly simply, but pick one and let's get our name back in the magazine. Scholarship chairman, do we have any news to report? No, we did award 2 scholarships last month.
2 months too.
2 months ago.
By design and by air.
By help of the U.S. Post Office.
Yeah.
Vice President, do you have the schedule of events? Yes, I do. I printed this off the last page of the newsletter. I'll go down real quick, but if you want to take notes, go back to your newsletter, and it's all in there. Today's the meeting. Tomorrow, we've got Corn Watch, which is observers only at Cornland, if you so desire. On Tuesday, August 6th, I'll be at Windsor Woods Library for a solar viewing and presentation. On Thursday, August 8th, Garden Stars. I usually do Garden Stars, but I'll be camping with the Royal Rangers, so Bill McLean is going to be presenting, and I know some of you have been to Garden Stars, and you know it's a fun outreach. If you haven't been to Garden Stars,
Bill gonna be able to do it?
yeah, he'll be able. He'll be well enough by then. Bill McLean was going to go to the Astronomical League conference down in Florida. A couple days before, he cut his foot and got it infected and ended up in the hospital. But he's recovering now. Tuesday, August 13th, Boardwalk Astronomy down at the Boardwalk behind the 24th Street stage. August 16th, there'll be stargazing in Croatan at a Croatan public beach. August 17th, Saturday, Sunday at Elizabeth River Park. August 19th, there's a nonprofit organization has a paint night at Williamsburg. And they've asked us to have some telescopes there. August 24th, there's both a night hike and our Skywatch night. So night hike, people will be hiking around Northwest River Park, and we'll probably end up at Skywatch. August 30th is our Corn Watch at Cornland, our second one of the month. And August 31st, Chapoke's Plantation State Park Night Watch. Next meeting is September 5th. Next Boardwalk Astronomy is September 10th, Tuesday, September 10th. September 12th is Garden Stars. September 14th, Saturday, Sunday. Next Skywatch after the where is it? Skywatch after the 24th will be September 21st, and Night Watch is September 28th. Any questions about upcoming events?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
The night hike.
No. Okay.
Who's been coordinating with them for that? Are they going to do it like they have done it in the past, which is have telescopes down at the terminal?
No. I told them if they want to have a night hike, they can come to the observing location at the equestrian area. So they come and join us for Skywatch.
Yeah.
So if the night hikers come to Skywatch, that's fine.
So we're not actually doing anything
No, we're
special
not
or something.
doing anything special. Okay. We had, is there any new business? Good. Is there any old business? Okay, observing reports. We've got a couple observing reports. First of all, before I call on Chuck, anybody else have any observing reports, things that you've seen lately or want to report on, tell us about?
I was up at Upper County Park up north of Williamsburg with the Skywatcher group last Saturday, and it was relatively bug-free and a clear night, and we had a good time, and it was a club-only observing, so it was got a lot of instruction in, so it was all a really good time.
Where was that?
Upper County Park. It's at 227 off the interstate. And they turn off the pool lights, and we have a restroom and everything there.
Good.
But we had a night, my name's John, by the way, down at Falls Gate. And my wife volunteers down there, and she had asked me to put on an astronomy night. And we went to the outreach at Northwest River Park and found this club. And anyway, George came and joined us with his granddaughter, and we had a great time. They had about 15 people. They bussed in that all paid to be there, really, and they got a whole night full of observations. So it was really great having you guys help us out. And it was great. I was really enjoyed it.
Yes.
More negative report. Well, besides my normal variable SAR programs, I've been waiting to watch, if you read the newsletter, Scorpii to blow up.
Right.
Hasn't blown up yet,
Hasn't blown up.
but any moment now. So keep the eyes on. And the AVBSO is also, well, actually right now, TESS is observing a patch of sky that contains a very famous dwarf nova, SS Cygni, which is one that's on my normal programs. So they're asking for photometry, all filters, visual, as well as anybody has spectral equipment, especially H alpha lines of S Cygni to kind of supplement tests.
So you do persistent monitoring like for a while, or
As persistent as I can be with the clouds.
Rich Roberts has a long article in this month's Observer newsletter all about this supernova, or no, not supernova.
It's a recurrent nova.
Recurring nova that may blow
Very
up
rare.
at any time. So,
Really?
good article.
Yeah, they're very rare.
Any other observing reports?
I was just saying, the weather's been pretty nice. I mean, I've been doing the Jupiter tracking, and I've gotten 210 minutes, 240 minutes, constant. I mean,
Yeah, we've had some good nights last
so
night.
we really have a pretty stable atmosphere. It comes out pretty good, so.
Let me tell you what I've been doing, and then we'll turn it over to Chuck. July was a really busy month, mainly because of the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11 first landing on the moon. So I've been running around all month, not only to Virginia Beach and this area, Chesapeake, but also down in North Carolina. We had boardwalk astronomy on the 9th. It was well attended. We had about 12 members there and about 600 people.
I clicked 535 people through.
Just
when I
a long
found,
line at his scope.
when I found Jupiter, right after you did, started clicking, 535 people.
It's pretty good.
I tore down.
I still had a line at 11:30.
Yeah. We're supposed to end at 11. Friday the 12th, we were set up at Ghent Market Shops. Chuck, Samantha, and I. And there's a picture of us in the newsletter. For Tuesday, the 16th, I was at Deep Creek Academy for their summer camp. I had 109 kids and their leaders. I was at Oceanfront Library on Wednesday the 17th, had 29 visitors. The very next day, I was across the street at Crocs with WHRO's event for the moon landing. And then Chuck and Jeff Thornton and Sean and I set up telescopes in Vibe Park, right across from Oceanfront Library. About 50 people looked through our telescopes. Friday the 19th, I was at Kempsville Library, and we had about 30 there. Saturday, Sunday, I don't know, did anybody attend Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah, myself and Mel, Mel forgot a part to his scope, so mine was one that set up, but we had a bus full of visitors from somewhere.
Wow.
That showed up. We had probably 15 or 20 of those, and then probably another half a dozen to a dozen walk-bys.
Good.
Came over, so.
One of these days, I'd like you or somebody to log those events in the Night Sky Network.
I'm trying to.
Because I can't log them if I'm not there.
Right.
Tuesday the 23rd, I was at Kings Fork Middle School down in Suffolk. Had about 80 students and teachers. I gave a presentation in the daytime. It was raining, so we couldn't look at the sun, but I gave a presentation on the slideshow and set up a telescope right there in front of the auditorium stage and aimed it. Sweat down, reject. And I set up a moon pie in the far corner of the auditorium, and I said, "Come look at the moon."
He did that at Vibe Park.
I did that at Vibe Park too, because the moon didn't come up till 10 o'clock after we left. On Wednesday the 24th, I was in North Carolina again at Currituck County Library. Had 23 visitors there. On Saturday the 27th, we had Skywatch. It was a super Skywatch. We had 13 members with telescopes. We had 3 or 4 other people from not members of the club that had telescopes. We had a beautiful clear night. Had dozens and dozens of visitors. It was wonderful. It was one of the, as Kent Blackwell would say, it's the best I've ever seen it. Best Skywatch I've had in a long time.
That was floating.
And then, as John mentioned, Sunday Samantha and I were at False Cape, and he had his LX200, and I had my little short 280, and Samantha had her 8-inch dog, and we saw Saturn, we saw Jupiter and its moons, we saw some double stars, we saw some globular clusters. It was a great night. And False Cape, found out beautiful sky out toward the east, and
Nice horizon, real low horizon.
Nice and dark.
Nice stuff coming.
low, very low horizons. I mean, up over the water, it's great, great.
Bugs will carry it away.
Now, speaking of bugs, that was something amazing. At Northwest River Park for Skywatch, I didn't see a single mosquito, but I got eaten alive in Falls Cape.
It was dark there.
Okay, now Chuck just came back from Florida at the Astronomical League conference. So Chuck is going to take about 15 minutes to tell us about that.
I guess I'll stand up. All right, I've never been to one of the Astronomical League conferences. I had when they offered it and said, okay, we're gonna do a special tour of the Kennedy Space Center, for the NASA, 50th anniversary of the launch. So that kinda got the hook started being set. And then my wife found out that there was a cruise attached to the end of it, a 3-day cruise into the Bahamas. So that forced the hook in the other side of the mouth and pulled. So we stupidly decided to drive down there. It took 12 hours to drive down there. We started off, I'm trying to think of the dates. I think it was the 23rd. It was last Wednesday maybe. But we met in Titusville, Florida, and started doing astronomical league conference type stuff. We just had a short meeting and met bunches of the other members. There was about, I want to say it was 280 members. This is actually more than nationwide. They're international now. The Astronomical League is international. And as George stated, that our primary involvement with the Astronomical League is to do observing programs, like Double Star Club or Sky Company or Messier lists and things like that. It helps you to do a structured observing. Now, I can't sit here and drone on about that because I haven't finished any of them yet, except for like the Venus Transit, the Mercury Transit, and a couple smaller ones that are very minimal. And that would happen to be primarily with the fact that I'm lazy and I primarily go-to stuff and lots of outreach and stuff. But these folks are definitely serious observers. Think of 300 Kent Blackwells on steroids.
Oh my God.
Okay, all in the same freaking place. I mean, just, oh my God. It was like, I don't even know if I want to talk to these guys because they're just very overwhelming. But they do a lot of work. They do a lot of outreach. One of the big clubs is St. Louis club, has like 800 members, and it's phenomenal. The amount of stuff that they do outreach wise. They have 300 library telescopes that they cycle all around the St. Louis area. It was an eye-opening experience just to see how they do things, how other clubs do outreach and such like that. When I told them how much outreach we did, and the fact that we have our club hovers between 120 and 140 usually, sometimes dips right around 100. They were like, "Really? You do all that outreach? Going out with like 4
Did you
bucks
tell
or
them that most of the outreach is done by 10 people?
Yeah, and they said, well, guess what? That's how the norm is.
Yeah.
Even the St. Louis club has, even though they have over 800 members, they have about 30 that do everything throughout all the whole school systems and everything. So we met. Everybody met down there on Wednesday. Thursday we had a special tour, or a tour of the Kennedy Space Center, and I hadn't been there since 92, 93, when I took my kids down to Disney World a number of years ago. Let me just say that place has gotten a lot bigger. There's an awful lot more stuff. The highlight of that was that at about 2 o'clock that afternoon, or was it 2 o'clock? That afternoon, we watched SpaceX launch.
Right.
We were 3 miles away from the complex,
Awesome.
right? And if I had had a little bit more time, I would have transferred my video of it off of my phone. I took my this DSLR. I have a Canon 5D, and I just sat there on my lap with it and made a movie of it as it launched with my longest telephoto lens I had on a 400mm telephoto, and it's a pretty decent handheld of watching it go up. And what surprised me is after I lost it, right? you could still hear it. I lost it. I was like, okay, I guess we're done. I can't see anything more. So I got up, put the camera away, folded up the arm, my folding chair, threw it in the back of the truck, piddled around a little bit more, got in the truck and started trying to find our way out of the parking lot. And then the sonic boom hit. Boom! It shook everything in that parking lot. And then about a half a second later, the second one hit. I don't know. Wow. Scared the living hell out of my wife. And I was like, oh, that must have been the sonic booms from Mr. Rocket. You know? And we weren't aware that at first there was conflicting reports whether or not they were going to land. The boosters were going to come back down and land where we could see them land, or if they were going to land out on the floating pads that are out there. So I didn't know. And to this, I still don't know if they landed at sea or if they landed at land. I know one of them fell, didn't land properly. Might have fallen over. But the rocket itself and the mission to resupply the space station, the ISS, was a success. And the only other thing I know Bird's seen a couple launches, and I think, oh,
Yeah, really.
no, not really. The only other launch I ever saw was we went there, like I said, in '92, and we were hoping to see a shuttle launch. Well, they scrubbed the shuttle launch while we were at Kennedy, but then while we were standing at the Captain Nemo's ride, 50 miles away, all of a sudden we seen that shuttle going up.
Yeah.
We couldn't hear it, but it was so bright, it was unbelievable. Right? That has hooked me to the point that when they get ready to launch it, what is it, the SRS? When that sucker goes, I'm going to try and be there. I'm flying to see that. That thing is going to develop more thrust.
A lot of it's called the Senate launches.
Yeah, it's gonna develop more thrust than the Saturn 1B. And it's like 8 feet shorter than the Saturn, but it's gonna develop more thrust. And it's just gonna be phenomenal. And my wife, she was just watching. She's not that much into this stuff. So then after we had the meeting, or the Johnson's Space Center, then we had a little dinner, talked about stuff with the AO league, and then we boarded a Mariner of the Seas cruise ship out of, I think it's the Royal Caribbean ship, and I just tell you, that's a big ship. I took Karen on a cruise for our 25th anniversary around Europe back in '03, and this ship, we were on a Princess Cruises there. This ship dwarfed that Princess Cruise. I think we had 12 or 1,400 people on the Princess Cruise. Just passengers, it was almost 4,000 passengers on this cruise, and half of them were little kids. The ship is huge. I mean, it's an enormous floating hotel, right, with all kinds of stuff on it. The thing that I remember the most about the cruise was we had a whole bunch of seminars that people in the Astronomical League put on, and one of them was, what can you do for retention, try to keep retention of your club up and grow your club? And I made a lot of notes, and I'm going to try to make a presentation about that, everything that we did for that, and share it with everybody, if not everybody, at least with the officers group, and go with that. There was an awful lot of very good ideas. There was a lady there from Kosovo, and she's her name escapes me, but she single-handedly started an astronomy group in Kosovo that has backing of the government now. She started off with just little 2.5 inch, 3-inch telescopes that she managed to get from somebody that were secondhand. Started a little astronomy group, and their biggest problem is that they have too many members, and not enough scopes. And almost all their members are under the age of 20. Right? Which is different than our group, right? Like our group is pretty good. We've got a fairly decent mix. There's some of us old farts in here, but at the Astronomical League, there was literally 200 people that were greater than 50 years old, and maybe 20 or 30 that were under 50 years. So there was a lot of talk about the aging of the hobby and how can we kind of bring in younger people and retain younger people and stuff like that. So hopefully I'll have a lot of ideas that we can put into use with our club. And one of the biggest things that they talked about was something that we're just starting to do is we're going to try and move all the business of the meeting away from the meeting. Woo! So when we get up in here and we talk, yeah, we got money. Yeah, we'll say that, but in a meeting that we might have half hour before the club starts, we would have had an actual financial report, all the boring stuff that you guys don't really care about. You know, you just really want to make sure that I'm not buying the telescope and stuff. I'm ready to go to Colorado, right?
You're buying a telescope, but not with the club's money.
Yeah, that's it.
Let's get it.
Yeah. And so we're gonna try and get that. That's one of the things we just started doing that. This meeting, I think, or maybe the last meeting was the first one. No, or was it this one?
Yeah.
But the goal is to not have any of the boring stuff for y'all. And one of the really good suggestions they had was, okay, if we take out all the boring stuff, right? Well, that frees up about a half hour or so, at least, right?
Right.
So why not spend a half hour period with a topic every month that might be for novices? Like, how do you do this? You know, like how do you align your main scope, your OTA with your finder scope, and then why? You know, we don't have to have a big scope in here to do a presentation. We can use a short tube 80 or something small like that, just to put the knowledge out there a little bit to help, right? And another one was something that we do already, our observing, our observing reports. A lot of the clubs use that, and that's a lot of their meeting for people to talk about observing and how they did stuff, and then share. And of course, presentations. They had lots of ideas. I've got pages. I took more notes on this than I did in any other class I ever did. But just lots of ideas on where to go get speakers and try to wrestle people in to do stuff. It was a very good conference. Like I said, I've never been to one of their AL conferences before. This is probably this was the first one, but it won't be the last one. The next one is in 2020 is in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's like about 4 hours from our house in Colorado. So definitely will probably be going. I don't know if we'll be there then, but it'll be in that area. They're thinking about having another cruise in a few years. They're definitely going to do something big for the April 8th, 2024 solar eclipse. They're already looking at some spots for that to do the AL League, because I guess they held the AL League conference in Wyoming, Casper, I want to say Casper, Wyoming, for the last solar eclipse. Yeah, and they said they thought that they had everything for sure, but it was big. And I learned we went up on the ship. We were supposed to have an observing program on the ship every night with binoculars and stuff. And of course, Mr. and Mrs. Cloud decided to come in. You guys want to look at stars? No. So you guys had good skies here, I understand. I wish we.
The ship can go around the cloud.
Yeah, well, yeah.
How in the Navy do they?
Now, out of
do they sit
those,
underneath
out of those
clouds?
39, 4,000 people on board that ship, less than 10% was our club. The rest of them was. So it was a big thing for them to give us the helo deck and turn off the lights for us.
Oh, nice.
And the folks that were in the front part of the ship with their big fancy cabins, they seen all these yahoos up there with binoculars, right? They started pulling their shades. It was funny, because you'd see it look out, and all of a sudden you'd see shades go. It was funny. But one night we did get to see a few things, and we're supposed to get an observing pin for at least trying, right? I borrowed a pair of big Orion binoculars, I think, or maybe they're Celestrons. They're about this freaking long. I want to say they were 25 by 70. I know they were 70 somethings and 25 or 30 or something like that. Let me just tell you, those were horrible. You couldn't hold them steady. The only time I was able to use them was when I laid flat down on my back on the helideck and propped them on my glasses, right? That was the only thing. So the next night that it was almost clear, we nixed those and took the little Nikon ones I have, and that was much better, you know. Of course, I couldn't really see the cloud bands in Jupiter now, but I could still see the dots, you know, of the moons. So it was kind of cool. And of course, there was just as many different types of binoculars that everybody had. There was a couple people that had some very, very expensive image stabilized binoculars. Oh, yeah. So if you were really, really serious on doing that, that would be the way that, if I was going to do it, that'd be the way I would want to go. But those are a little bit pricey. I mean, the one guy said he paid $1,800 for the set that he had. I don't remember how big they were, but it was, hit the button, click, locks in. And I thought that was pretty slick. It's like the image stabilizing on my camera lens, you know. So, but like I said, it was a very eye-opening experience. I didn't realize that there were so many other big clubs out there and doing things like what we were doing, paralyzing, you know, not paralyzing, parallel like our type of efforts, like with the like library program, and they were lots of them were interested in our boardwalk astronomy, because they were. Well, we've had, you know, they were talking about, we had cities ask us to come down and we didn't go because of the sand. I said, well, I'll tell you what, when they first started coming up with boardwalk astronomy, I was the opponent. I said, no, I'm not bringing my scope down to the beach. Get sand in it. Because when they first proposed it, when Chuck first brought it, they were literally talking about going down on the beach and setting up. And I was like, they're gonna wait, I can do it. Oh God. And then they said, okay, well, we'll just go up on the boardwalk. And I was still, yeah, we didn't want to do that. And that's my favorite. It's my favorite event, you know. So we learn, we grow, and
what other countries were represented there?
France, Germany, most of the EU stuff, you know, Great Britain. Australia was up. There was somebody from Australia. The woman from Kosovo was there, and those are the ones I remember. We're supposed to get some notes and stuff congeal later on as soon as everybody gets home. And
I'm sure that'll be written up in the next
oh
issue
yeah,
of
there's
the
going to be
Reflector.
quite a bit of stuff in the reflector, and I know that we made a lot of suggestions about some of the stuff that we did, and a lot of that stuff is going to make it into the reflector. Let's see what else. It was a pretty good time. Had a lot of fun. Cruise was pretty crazy. We only went into Nassau for one day, right? My wife had never been to the Bahamas before, so taking her out to Nassau into the little streets where gimme.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about?
Street urchins.
It's like Tijuana on about 1 billion steroids or crack, right?
Did she get her hair braided?
No, she did not. She was like, no way. But you know what? They wanted to try to braid anything, right? I says, no, stay away
That's
from
the
me.
beach.
Get away, right? And, so that was entertaining. I ran out of paper on my pad, right? For taking notes and stuff. Trying to find the whole ship. Nobody has a pad of paper. They have individual little pieces of typing paper they'll give you. Pad of paper? No. So I spent an hour walking around Nassau till I finally found a little corner drugstore and bought a steno pad for $3. $3.80 for a little steno pad. But that was
How many thousand did it cost you to get there to buy it?
Well, I mean, they did a pretty good deal. The cruise was like $350 a head or $360 a head. The hotel stayed 2 nights in a hotel on the way down there, Wednesday night, Thursday night, and then we got on a cruise ship on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday they booted us off the cruise ship, and then what's her name and I went to Savannah and fiddled around, and she wanted to go ghost hunting in Savannah. So I dutifully went along, since I drug her down to the Bahamas. And so I don't know how much I spent on it, but it was fun.
Well, thank you, Chuck. That's a good report. We have a drawing now. Did everybody sign the sign-in sheet? Who did not sign the sign-in sheet? Anybody? Okay. Did you get a ticket?
Yeah, give me a ticket.
Yeah, we gotta give him a ticket.
Raffle with your class or something.
Sometimes we raffle. It's not a raffle. It's a door prize. Sometimes we have something really valuable. Today, not so much. But it's from NASA. This is a nice poster of Ocean World, Earth, Ceres, Europa, Ganymede, Callisto, Enceladus, Titan, Mimas, Triton, and Pluto.
Planet Pluto, yes.
Yay, Pluto.
Hey, George, I make a motion that we give away a hat.
Oh, okay, let's
I
wrap.
second the nomination.
There you go.
All those in favor, give away a hat?
Okay.
Aye.
All right. Okay, well, first of all, we'll raffle off, this will be the final question. Okay, so, everybody got a ticket? Get a ticket? Everybody got a ticket? All right. You're impartial, you look impartial. You look at least bored. Okay, the winning number for the, one of this, the Ocean Worlds poster, 933-264. Whoa!
Just missed it.
Now, we
Okay,
got it in the hat.
another poster, same thing.
That was Chuck that won that, in case you didn't know.
Oh, man.
All right, I can't draw my own, right?
If you want.
But you could. Okay, the winning number, the last three is 257. 257.
All right.
Next one is a deck of playing cards. It's not regular playing cards. It's the Space Place New Millennium deck collectible card game, and the instructions are attached with it.
In Romulan.
We'll let Arch. You're gonna draw a number here.
Last 3 digits. 2, 3, 7.
All right. All right.
Donkey shins.
The bird one, huh?
Live.
Grand prize, the BBAA hat with the embroidered logo. Ugly color, but embroidered logo.
Nice color, nice color. Nice color, I'll get it.
Okay,
Hey, I picked that color.
Hey, yeah.
that's what I mean.
All right.
All right, the last 3 digits, 254. Okay. Very good. Okay, and I failed to introduce everybody. I see a couple faces I don't recognize. You I saw at the Skywatch. I forgot your name.
Bill Reed.
Bill Reed. That's right.
Reed.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I've seen you many times. Oh, not many times. Several times.
That's right.
Okay, and you sir, you're,
That's what we say when we forget people.
and the orange shirt is Andrew?
Andrew Raspberry, yeah.
Yeah, you were here at the last month, 2 minutes ago. And
I'm Brian Doyle Robbins. I used to be a president of an astronomy club back in Kennewick, Washington. I joined the United States Navy here, and I'd like to pick up astronomy again and get back into it.
wonderful.
Very
I would
good.
like to nominate him as president.
Motion carried.
Sean's in the sailboat, gets to pose, man.
The next one is
Welcome aboard.
John
Almeter.
Almeter, and his
And my wife,
he-
Tammy.
his wife is a volunteer at Falls Cape State Park, and so he had his scope out there, and a couple of us out went out there. We had a great time. And you, sir?
Bo Gillis, I'm heavy into solar. I've been to Mount Lemon where they have the astronomy grade telescopes up there, really amazing. West Bank, a couple other places, and since I follow the sun anyway, might as well learn about the stars.
All right.
Right.
Yeah.
And you, ma'am?
Oh, Lisa Roberts.
Lisa Roberts,
yeah.
and Rich Roberts, and Bob Berline, and Jeff Goldstein, and Arch Walpole.
Great.
And George Jarvis, and Bert Taylor, and Tom Flatley, and Matt McLaughlin, and Ben Loyola, and Chuck Yago, Dr. Kunya Sayanagi, and I forgot your name. I would never remember. Joanne.
Joanne.
And I'm George.
George has been taking his prep.
Okay. Well, our presentation tonight is well, let me back up. I sometimes feel bad because the club members never get to see some of the presentations we do for outreach. I mean, I've got several dozen PowerPoint presentations. Some of them you probably would be bored with, but some of them are pretty interesting. And I've got several videos from NASA and the American Museum of Natural History that are neat and really good stuff, and you guys never get to see it. So I've got one of those tonight. It's called Cosmic Collisions, about collisions in space, in time, and what they do and what they've done and what they may do in the future. And before I start that, I've got one question. Chuck, you mentioned a meeting idea of having something for novices. How do we get novices out to the meetings? Most of these people are experienced observers.
Start having stuff that is informational for them.
Then we have to get the word out.
Right.
Okay, sounds good. All right, let's see if this laptop is going to work. See if one. Oh shoot. There we go. There we go. Hang on a second. Oh, no! I hate Microsoft.
Closing.
Cancel. Woo, there you go. Save for the cancel.
That's scary.
Oh,
No.
no.
For EC shutdown. That is so scary.
Oh.
I've never experienced this. Sorry.
Oh, Microsoft gets me mad. So
I feel so alien.
Okay, this, by the way, that was Ken Blackwell's picture of the 2017 eclipse.
Huh? Where?
That was.
It was. Okay, it was. I thought that was. That was like a. Was that the?
Hey Chuck, is this one yours?
Solo for power.
No, mine's the one with the bird.
It's more like the recent black hole picture they put out.
You're gonna need to re-acquire this CD or DVD.
Come on.
It's just very slow.
You don't know NMCI.
Does it have a hand crank on the side?
Yeah, right.
That's ridiculous.
Well, the one thing I learned on that cruise,
Yeah.
they charge you for everything that you might think that you want.
A la carte.
Did they present Masters there? Master Award? Master
Yeah, they did. They have. There's a whole bunch of levels.
Hello, I'm Robert Redford. Out here in space, the stars look peaceful, don't they? Through good times and bad, we've always found comfort in their reassuring light, a sense that there is order in the universe. When something new suddenly appears in the night sky, it makes us wonder. See that big rock? It's really a comet. People used to believe that comets like this one were bad omens, warnings that trouble was on the way. Today, we know that comets begin as chunks of ice and rock that orbit around the sun, far beyond the planets of our solar system. If one of them is pulled into an orbit closer to the sun's heat, its icy surface changes from solid to gas, unleashing an enormous tail of rock and dust that's millions of miles long. But knowing what a comet is doesn't mean it can't cause trouble. That comet is heading towards Earth. Will it hit? Not this one. Like most comets, it will pass us by. But bits of rock from the comet's tail, called meteoroids, will collide with Earth's atmosphere. When they hit, they'll burn up, creating a brilliant meteor shower. These days, down here on Earth, it sometimes feels that things are changing far too much and far too quickly. And it's not just Earth. You see, change is a constant in the universe. Stars, planets, even galaxies are always on the move, tugged this way and that by the powerful, ever-present force of gravity. At times, they even collide. This may sound alarming, but collisions can actually be beneficial and sometimes beautiful. Come with me now on a journey to places near Earth and beyond the distant reaches of our galaxy, to see how cosmic collisions have created our past, affect our present, and continue to shape our future. There used to be a number of theories about how our moon was formed. Not long ago, scientists proposed a new one. Let's travel back in time, 4.5 billion years, to find out what they think happened. What you're seeing is the young Earth. It was a planet still forming, where life had not yet begun. In those early days, our solar system was swarming with large chunks of rock, some as big as planets. A number of them had orbits that brought them close to Earth. This one got a little too close. The collision nearly destroyed the Earth, spraying molten rock out into space. Most of this rock fell back onto our shattered planet. The rest of the rock stayed in orbit. The force of gravity kept it from escaping out into space. As these jagged rocks revolved around Earth, gravity drew them towards one another. They began to collide, fusing together into larger chunks. Within weeks, these chunks combined with others, growing bigger and bigger. And in less than a month, incredible as it may seem, our moon was formed. That's right, it only took 1 month to create our moon. This is the moon today. It's strange to think that the comforting sphere in our night sky was formed by a violent collision, but it was. In 1,000 different ways, this collision made life on Earth possible. The force of it tilted our planet's axis, giving us our seasons, and the moon's gravitational pull causes our tides. Our solar system has settled down a lot since then, so we don't have to worry about another planet colliding with Earth. But other collisions affect us each and every day. Some of the most important ones involve our sun. Don't worry, Earth isn't going to collide with the sun anytime soon. Our orbit is stable, and it should stay that way for billions of years. But all life on the surface of Earth depends on collisions that happen inside the sun. The sun is a star, like the other stars we see in the night sky. It's much closer though, so it looks different, like a gently glowing ball. But there's nothing gentle about the sun. Those dark patches are sunspots. Each of them is about the size of Earth. Sunspots look dark because they're the coolest places on the sun, only about 8,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The rest of the sun is even hotter. The sun's energy, like that of all stars, is created by collisions between tiny particles called protons. Every second, countless numbers of protons collide and fuse within the sun's core, releasing incomprehensible amounts of energy. Most of this energy leaves the sun as light. Some of it leaves the sun's surface in a continuous stream of charged particles known as the solar wind, which blows out into the solar system at almost 1,000,000 miles an hour. Or in less frequent but faster solar storms that blast particles out into space. We're looking at actual images of solar storms taken by a NASA satellite. See that static? That's a solar storm cloud hitting the satellite and overwhelming its imaging device. The solar wind blasts across the planets in the solar system every second of every day. It's so powerful that contact with it would sweep away a large portion of our upper atmosphere, removing much of our water and dramatically altering the development of life on Earth. But fortunately, Earth is protected by an invisible natural shield. What you're seeing is a visualization of Earth's magnetic field. This field arises from Earth's iron core, which makes our planet act like a big magnet, attracting some things and repelling others. Wrapped in this cocoon, Earth is sheltered from the solar wind. But some of the particles make it through this magnetic barrier, eventually reaching the North and South poles. The results are spectacular. Glorious, shimmering curtains of color. This one is the Aurora Borealis, the northern lights. Auroras occur when charged particles from the solar wind and solar storms collide with the upper atmosphere of Earth, causing atmospheric gases to glow. That's the International Space Station, circling the globe in low Earth orbit, about 250 miles up. Not many people have seen the aurora from out in space. The collisions that cause auroras happen between 60 and 300 miles above the surface of the Earth. Far above where airplanes fly. And create one of the greatest natural light shows on our planet. as we've already seen, not all collisions have beautiful and harmless results. One of them was a major factor in an extraordinary event that changed the course of life on Earth. It began out here, where asteroids orbit the sun. Asteroids are pieces of rock and metal left over from the first few million years of our solar system, when the planets were forming. Most of these asteroids orbit within the belt that you're seeing, located between Mars and Jupiter. Some can even be closer. There's only a 1 in a million chance in any given year that a large asteroid will hit Earth. But 65 million years ago, one did. It was about 7 miles wide, traveling at 40,000 miles an hour, and it was headed straight for Earth. But not the Earth we know today. This was long before humans existed, when the great dinosaurs roamed the planet. Unfortunately for them, that was about to change. The asteroid hit near what is now Mexico. The impact created a fireball that scorched everything in sight. Vaporized earth and rock were blasted into space. As this material rained back down, it heated the atmosphere. Glowing debris slammed into Earth, hitting again and again. Everything that could caught fire. For an hour, temperatures across the globe rose to more than 500 degrees Fahrenheit, literally as hot as an oven. Smoke and soot filled the atmosphere. For 6 months, it would be too dark for most plants to grow. Between massive destruction caused by the collisions and damage done by volcanic eruptions and changing sea levels, nearly 3/4 of all life on Earth went extinct. The age of the dinosaurs was over. But life is resilient, and there were survivors. A few dinosaurs made it through, eventually evolving into our present-day birds. And some mammals survived as well, giving them a chance to evolve. In fact, without this collision, we might not be here today. Could a collision like this happen again? Asteroids are still out there. If one came our way, what could we do? Blowing it up wouldn't work. We'd just end up with a swarm of rocks heading our way. But scientists have been studying and tracking asteroids for years, and they've come up with an ingenious idea. We could use the force of gravity to alter the asteroid's path. It might work like this. If you flew a spacecraft alongside an asteroid, the spacecraft's tiny gravitational pull might be enough to change the asteroid's orbit, tugging it a little off course. It would take years, but slowly, over time, the asteroid would move into a slightly different orbit, eventually ending up hundreds of miles away from Earth. A few hundred miles isn't much, but it's all we need to keep us safe. Right now, this is only an idea, but it's a promising one. Many scientists think it may be our best bet. Someday, perhaps one of you will come up with an even better idea. An idea that will help protect Earth from these cosmic wanderers. We now know that a collision created our moon, and that collisions fuel our sun each and every day. We've seen the collision that destroyed the dinosaurs, and we've learned how we might prevent future collisions by using the force of gravity. All of this happened right here, in our own cosmic neighborhood. But what of the rest of the universe? And what of the future? What other cosmic collisions might be in store for us? We're leaving the Milky Way galaxy now, home to our solar system. The Milky Way is also home to hundreds of billions of stars and possibly trillions of other planets, as well as vast collections of gas and dust. Most stars and galaxies are so far apart, they hardly ever collide. But there are rare exceptions. Let's slow down for a moment on the outskirts of our galaxy. Those stars streaming past us are part of a globular cluster, a place in which stars are crammed together so tightly that they sometimes smash into one another. That was unusual. Even here, stars only collide once every 100,000 years. As we pull out quickly from the Milky Way, it's time to fast forward into the future to see what the outlook is for our galaxy and our universe. We're now billions of years in the future and 500,000 light years away from Earth. This is the Milky Way galaxy on a collision course with our nearest neighbor, the galaxy Andromeda. What you're seeing has been speeded up so that every second 40 million years pass by. Galaxies, like everything else in the universe, are constantly on the move. Even though they're very far apart, the powerful force of gravity pulls them together. These two great galaxies will swirl around each other in a graceful cosmic dance, glancing off one another and then drifting apart again. Stars and planets in these galaxies won't actually collide. They're much too far apart. Scientists think they'll simply slide past one another. What will collide are the gas and dust that fill each galaxy. And from these collisions, countless stars and planets will be born. Eventually, billions of years from now, the Milky Way and Andromeda will become one vast new galaxy. Galactic collisions are a normal part of all galaxies' lives. In fact, our own Milky Way was formed by collisions among many small galaxies. Without these collisions, the Milky Way wouldn't exist. And probably, neither would we. Cosmic collisions, dynamic and dazzling, have created so many things we take for granted. The glowing moon, the sun's warmth and light, our changing seasons, waves washing up on a sandy shore. They've ended the age of the dinosaurs and changed the very map of the cosmos, reforming galaxies and giving birth to new stars and new worlds. We humans occupy a tiny part of a vast and evolving cosmic landscape. Sometimes it feels like we're merely voyagers on a brief journey. But we are explorers, striving to understand the ever-changing nature of the cosmos. And there's no telling what our boundless curiosity will reveal to us next, in a universe made and remade, in a story of cosmic collisions.
here come the lights.
Go on the night vision.
There goes your night vision. That's just one of several videos I've shown to people in outreach events, outreach presentations, and it's one of the favorites. Okay, are there any other questions or comments or observations, observing reports? Chuck, you mentioned going out on the ship and being clouded out for observing. It reminds me of when, back in 2014, my wife and I went on a cruise to Alaska. And I wanted to see the Northern Lights. And a couple of nights, this was at the end of August, the 1st of September, so it's still pretty, it doesn't get dark early there.
Yeah.
So I went up on the ship, was it around midnight, I guess. It was sort of dark, and I almost saw the Northern Lights, but this haze just formed, and I was not sure I saw what I thought I saw, so I was sort of hazed out too.
Yeah.
So anyhow.
George.
Yes.
Anybody familiar with the black moon we're having?
I can't hear you.
Anybody familiar with the black moon we're having now?
The black moon we're having now.
Yes.
What black moon is that?
That's just the opposite of a blue moon. We have two new moons in a month.
Two new moons in a month is called a black moon.
The first
that's
one.
something new on me.
You're making this up, right?
No, I read about it.
Yesterday.
Must have been designed by one of the newspapers or something.
No,
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before.
now you can see it up in the sky.
No, you can't.
You can see a new moon?
That's a new moon, you can't.
I've never seen the new moon. It's up in the daytime.
I see a new moon. Eclipse.
When we have an eclipse, that's right.
Yeah.
And you see a new moon, that's
All
right.
right. Speaking of the eclipse, the next eclipse is April
8th, my birthday.
April 8th, 2024.
Right.
Oh.
And it's going to go, instead of the one that came this year, came diagonally from Oregon down through South Carolina, this one's going to come up from Texas, actually Mexico, through Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, Indiana, Illinois, tip of Illinois, through Ohio, and out over the Lake Erie, and then out through New England. And I'm already making plans to go somewhere near Cleveland, Ohio.
I would go south to where it's summery.
So anyhow, that's going to be
Instead
in
of north
April
or winter.
2024.
Right, April, up north, oh my god.
So, we're going to get out a little early today. If there are no other pieces of business, no other comments, meeting adjourned.
Thank you, George.
8:41.
8:41.
Wow.
We actually get another beer.